Hey, Cinzer here, and welcome to, I believe, my first Final Fantasy XIV video. So, in this video, it's basically, I want to just kind of talk about how brilliant the job slash class design is in Final Fantasy, how they build upon it, why it's such a good system, and why anybody that might be trying out Final Fantasy for the first time or thinking about trying to find Final Fantasy out or have already started and feels like it's like really slow, why that's actually a good thing, and why Final Fantasy the jobs slash classes just work really well and are very complex. Like in my opinion, from all the MMOs that I've played, Final Fantasy XIV definitely has one of the best job slash class systems. And if you just like mastering a job, you just like playing a job, as it's called in Final Fantasy, then you will not be disappointed, even though it starts off feeling like really slow. And the reason why is they build on to that with mechanics. I'm going to show a little bit of Samurai and Ninja in this video. Not a guide, not really in depth on all of the stuff, just a basic like overview of how everything works, so you can kind of get an understanding of why this is such a brilliant system. So as a samurai, even though this is not a base class, you have to get to like 50 before you can do it, but it's still a very good example of just class job progression in Final Fantasy. So they start off with this here, which is called the Sin gauge, and the way that works, which I'll just go ahead and show you while explaining, is the samurai will have three different combo finishers. It all starts with this one move, and then where you go from there will depend on just which of these marks you want to get, which one of these sins you want to get. So if you do this combo, it gives you this sin. So if you do that, start it off again, go to a different combo, and you get this one. And then again, the other one only has a two-part, and then it gives you the last one. Now when you have all three of these, it allows you to do this very strong single targeted move. And of course, it just looks really cool. But another thing about this system is each one of these sin, which I will show you again, it doesn't matter which one you do, as long as all that matters is the number. So this one, now I have a different move. This is a completely different attack than the other one that I just did. And if I do two of them, again, any order, as long as they're different, then I'll have another move that I can do. And that one is an AoE attack. So it's basically, it's a very straightforward, simple mechanic, and that alone would be pretty nice. You have you have three combos to get three different things, and the reason why they're different, or what's important, is you you have to have different sin. Like you can't just do the same combo. So if I did the same combo, it's not going to give me another one. So it's going to give me the same one. So if I only do the same combo, I'm only going to ever be able to do this level 1 ability, this dot. So I have to mix it up. So I have three different combos that I have to keep rotating between. And, so they have that, the gauge, the finisher, and then that's that. That's a pretty straightforward thing. You have some AoEs. You have this ability that allows you to do any parts of the combo and get the effects of it for 3 hits. So you can like get all 3 gauges at once if you want, and then use your attack. But that's not it. They start you off with that, and then they build on to that. So then after that, they added in the Sin gauge, or the Kinki gauge, which is right here, and that just allows me to do all these other moves that have Kinki. So that one was not one of them. There's that one, this one. As you can see, these moves are taking away Kinki, and I got moves that can like actually, give me Kinki back. And these are all off global cooldown moves. So while I'm doing my combos, while I'm waiting for the global cooldown to tick, which mine right now, like my samurai is just like fresh level 80, and I don't really have that much gear, so my global cooldown is longer than it would be. And that's another thing that I want to touch on. The global cooldown by default is about 2.5 seconds. Anybody that's coming from WoW or maybe other games that have faster global cooldowns, is pretty big. It's going to feel really slow. And some classes are going to pretty much keep that, but they'll just have a lot of off global cooldowns. That's the first thing. A lot of off global cooldowns, which makes the game feel more, it feels more active. Even if you have a longer global cooldown, you have abilities that you can still use while you're on that global cooldown. But not only that, classes like the ones I'm going to show today, Samurai and Ninja, I'm just going to go back away real quick. They can reduce their global cooldown pretty significantly. Like Samurai has this second part of their one of their combos reduced. It's called weapon skill cast time or recast time or whatever. It's basically its global cooldown. So it just means that recast. There's a difference between recast and like cooldown, I believe. No, they still say recast. But anyway, 2.42 is my global cooldown. It started off at 2.49, I believe, and I have this ability. I mean, I have this stat called skill speed that lowers the global cooldown. So even though the global cooldown is high, you can lower it by a stat and by certain skills. So you can actually get the global cooldown down to like I think 2 seconds or so. So like that's a whole half a second, and that actually makes a big difference when you're talking about global cooldowns. So it's going to feel much faster, and then they add on the stuff, the global cooldown for Kenki, and then this bar under here is just it's just a level 80 thing that they have. So basically every time I use this, Aijutsu combo, Sin Gauge user, it gives me a stack of meditation, and I just once at 3 stacks, which is basically just using this ability 3 times, I'm able to use this one move called Shoha. So it's like small things that they add on over the course of the expansion, and then or the different expansions, and then by the time you're at max level, your class is like very different. And to just really explain how different, I think Ninja is probably one of the best examples of that. Ninja is a job that starts off as rogue, and it is extremely different. So when you start off as a rogue, I'm gonna just show the traits real quick. This is because this was in the original Realm Reborn before the expansion. So like Samurai starts at 50. The way Final Fantasy works for all the old jobs is you start off, and it's still even more different than it was before. But basically, you start off as a class. In this case, you start off as a rogue, and these are the abilities you have as a rogue. And at level 30, you actually advance to a job. You don't pick the job, but it just advances it and then adds stuff onto that. So as a rogue, once you get to level 30, you do quests and all this other stuff, and then you will unlock the ninja job. That's in addition to your rogue class. So, and you can tell the difference because you have a soul crystal, which is for ninja. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this off so you can kind of see. The soul crystal. Oh, okay, I can't do that because I have gear. But basically, if I didn't have this ninja gear on, I would take off the soul crystal and it would change my job to rogue. But anyway, that's getting a little technical. The point is, you start off as a rogue, and from 1 to 30, even though this one is past 30, but basically from 1 to 30, you're only a rogue. So as you're leveling up, and I definitely had this experience. Rogue for me was one of the most boring and difficult classes to level up to 30 because this is all you're doing, literally. As a rogue, you're just doing these weapon skills. And you can look at the levels too. So like as you're leveling, like level 1 you only have spinning A's, but that doesn't, last more than like a quest or two. But you level up, you get shade shit, which isn't even an ability, like it's not a attacking ability. And then you finally at level 4 you get Gust Slash. So this is my rotation at level 4. 1, 2. That's it. And then I don't get another, like combo. I don't even finish that combo until level 26. So I'm just sitting here in dungeons using the 2 Gust Slash. Like you can kind of see why that would be frustrating. And then Mug, but that's just, it's a 2-minute cooldown. Trick Attack. You can only do that from behind while well, actually, you can use it anytime, but you can only use it while hidden. Like yeah. So for the majority of your time, you're literally doing 2 hits, right? 2 hits. Finally, level 26. Almost by the time you're a ninja, you get a 3rd hit. So you can see why people would be frustrated with that. Now, if you haven't noticed, look at my gauges and stuff here. Ninja gets hype. let's go. So level 30, you get ninja, you unlock the mudra system. This is huge. Rogue turns into ninja. Now you're not just using only weapon skills. You have literal like ninjutsu. Anybody that's a fan of Naruto will be like, these are basically hand seals. So there's 3 different hand seals. Each one will do, like, depending on the combination, it'll do a different like attack. So if I just do 1 and then basically there's you do the mudras and then there's an actual ninjutsu button. So depending on which mudras you used, once you hit the ninjutsu button, it'll execute a ninjutsu. So you can also see my character. I'll go ahead and exit this for right now. He's using hand seals, and then I end with a ninjutsu. So I have this here to remind me the order, because you literally have to do the right order. If you don't do the right order, so let's say I did this, you can see this little bunny here. This means you done goofed. You messed up. This doesn't do anything. You need to start over. And you can only, do it. It's like a 20. You get 2 charges, at least at this level. By the time you're max level, you get 2 charges, but then, that's it. So you need to do them in the right order. And there's a lot of them. These just all do different things. So again, this isn't a guide. I'm not going to go in depth on that, but each of these ninjutsu, each of these order will do a different ninjutsu, and they are very different. This bar here is the Hutan buff, basically, which was my first ninjutsu listed here. It increases or reduces the weapon skill, the global cooldown, basically. And I didn't refresh that fast enough. But basically, it lowers the global cooldown. So again, it makes it really fast. So like right now, my global cooldown because of this is at 2.10 seconds. And then this other move here is just allows me to do a different attack. So it's a lot of different stuff. That's what this bar is. Reduce my global cooldown. I just have to refresh. I can refresh this with a combo, or I can just use a ninjutsu again. This here is the Ninki gauge, similar to the Kinki gauge for Samurai. As you're using ninjutsu, you're just filling up this gauge, and then you just use it, for abilities. So that time I just used a frog. They have this big single target attack. It's pretty simple. More, just off global cooldown abilities that you have. It's, it's very flashy. But as you saw when I first started, oh yeah, and in Bunshin, I just love this ability. Anybody, again, Naruto fans know the clone jutsu. You put a clone, and it'll copy your, I think, next 5 weapons, attacks. Not ninjutsu, but like actual weapon attacks, which is just these combos that you got as a rogue. So you start off just doing 1, 2. Now I do think that they probably could have at least that third combo come in a little bit earlier, but you're just doing this, basically you're just doing this until level 30. Then level 30, and not only that, they put it on one thing at a time. At level 30, if they're just like, all right, here's the 3 mudras, good luck, you'd be like, whoa, wait a minute now. But they don't do that. They give you, again, looking at this, each one is like, I think it's every 5 levels. So you actually get the first one at 30. Which just allows you, because you only have one, it just allows you to use the Fuma Shuriken, the Wind Shuriken. That's it. That's all you're able to do. That's the only ninjutsu you're able to do. But that's still pretty cool. So like at level 30, now you're doing this whole combo here, and then you're also able to weave in your Wind Shurikens, because ninjutsu is off the global cooldown. It's completely separate and it does not break your combo. And then you get 2 of them at once you get to 35, then you get the. I don't even remember when you get the last one. It's a little while, I think. Oh yeah, 45. So 30, 35, then not again until 45. You get the last one. So then you're, at level 30. Now you're doing this, and then you can now use the. Oh yeah, that was the wrong one. But you can use the Raitone lightning ability, which I believe is 10 and chi. So you just do that, lightning. So that's already like really cool. Like you went from just doing these 2 abilities to now you have this extra ninja stuff that you can do. And then again, once you get to 45, then they add on another one to add on another ability. And while you're leveling up, you're mastering this. You know, you get to 30, you have one ninjutsu, you master that, add on another ninjutsu. Okay, now I could do these. You master that, and then third one, you master that. So you're slowly gathering up. So by the time you're, 50 or at least 45, I should say, you are able to do a bunch of ninjutsu while still using your simple weapon skills. And that's why they had it start off so simple, because you have to master using this before you can, because you got to use the ninjutsu and the weapon skills at the same time. And then you just get this other move that changes things pretty dramatically. And then again, after that, you just get more stuff. That's when they added after you've mastered the ninjutsu, that's when they added the ninki gauge. So while you're using, I think it's the weapon skills. I don't actually know, honestly, if that gives you ninki. Yeah, it doesn't look like it gives you ninki. So just the weapon skills give you ninki. It's just like samurai. It's just like any gauge. You build up the gauge, use moves for the gauge. Simple. So then after that, they have this other move called Tenchi Jin, which just allows you to use multiple ninjutsu without having to use the hand seals. It's complicated. I'm not going to go over exactly how it works, but it's a lot simpler when you actually see it in action. So it's just 3 different attacks. So yeah, you go from weapon skills, and ninjutsu. You lower the recast or global cooldown by a significant margin. So now you're moving like really fast. You go from one of the most boring classes, in my opinion, in the game to one of the coolest and also just very active. Have to get your ninjutsu right, have to do your combos right, have to use your global cooldowns at the right time, have to make sure you're using your ninki at the right time, make sure you have your, the Huton buff. Make sure you're using your Suiton for your team so you can use your trick attack. It's very cool. And if they did all of this, somebody coming into the game starting at level 80, if they just picked up level 80 ninja, it's gonna be difficult to try and figure out what's going on. There's more than I went over, of course. There's a lot of stuff, but that's just an example on the evolution of the way jobs work in Final Fantasy, and that's why I think it's just so brilliant. And anybody that's getting into the game, anybody that maybe played it and gave up because it was just too slow, this is just really to show you where it goes from there and why Final Fantasy does that and why it's just so brilliant, because they just keep adding on. They make the things more complicated, and they're teaching you how to play. And if nothing else, Final Fantasy, if any game you want to make sure you actually level up from the beginning, Final Fantasy is that game, and you will be greatly rewarded for it. You don't want to just boost a character up without knowing how to play it, because it's going to take you a long time to figure it out. There's a reason why combat is slow at the beginning. There's a reason why things are simple at the beginning, because they're going to add on to it, and they just keep making things more complicated so that you need to master the previous steps and the foundation of a class before you can move on to the next step. So that's all I want to do in this video. Just, hopefully that sheds some light on the way Final Fantasy jobs work, why I think it's just so brilliant, and hopefully convince you to actually, play Final Fantasy, or, also just to try out every job or class in the game, because you will be able to see just how much it evolves by the time you get to max level. So that's it. If you liked the video, please give a like, subscribe for future videos, and as always, thanks for watching.